Awesome, thumbs up. We get to fill out Jane Doe's taxes today. So when you start filling out your taxes, you need your Form 1040, the tax form. You need any W-2s that came to you in the mail. So if you have multiple jobs, or 1099s if you were getting interest from someplace else. And also access to the tax tables. You can do this online. This will be the specific problem we need for today for Jane Doe. So let's see how we do here. I took Jane Doe's W-2 and I made sure that what I'm writing down is exactly what's here, and I'm making sure that the social security number matches the W-2. This is stuff that you can't mess up on. You have to have that right. And the most important boxes out of the W-2 are going to be box 1 and box 2 here. This says wages, tips, and other compensations, and this says federal income tax withheld. This is the taxes that have already been taken out of your money over the course of the year. So those are the two things we're going to use on our form. So let's get going, kind of take a look at what these things are. If you saw the sample, this is an option to you over at the side. Would you like to give money toward the presidential election campaign? As you get older, if you have more than 4 kids, you would check here. So for some families, that's of interest. This is where you list the dependents if you had them. But for us, we are going to assume that Jane is single. So Jane is single. Here's her name and address, social security number. She is, I'm going to pretend she's like, in her 20s, like you guys out of college. Fun fact for you guys now, if you earned enough that you filed taxes yourself, Highland Park High School students, you are dependents under your parents right now. So if you have filed your taxes, I hope you sat down with your parents and you had to check this. So my kids had to do this part. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this. Off the W-2, it says that the wages, tips, and other compensation are $48,500. So we're going to start off filling this in, $48,500. So it tells you right here, if you've never looked at the tax form closely, follow directions. It's all there for you. Now, there are other ways you can earn money. There are all sorts of different investments, things you can do that aren't, traditional just jobs that give you money. You might be getting dividends. You might be getting money out of an investment called an IRA, individual retirement account. As you get older, you might have money from a pension or an annuity. So you would, in essence, add all of those things up until you come down to what your actual income is. Again, we're going very simple. Jane Doe has one job from one employer. The older you get, that doesn't always happen. Capital gains or losses, again, if you had some major capital gains or losses from investments, it says, if not required, check here. So I'm saying life is good and simple. I'm going to check there. So I had to do a little bit of work, get to line 7B, and it literally tells you how you get there. You add up all the rows above it. And what's important there is that's your total income. Now, when you look at this wording of Schedule 1s, if you don't know what schedules are, you don't have them yet. But I'll tell you, as life goes on, my husband and I have many, many of these, so our taxes are quite complicated. So for us, nothing fancy going on for Jane Doe. We're just going to copy that same number down. And I want you to look at the tax form. Do you see those fat arrows? Those are lines you got to make sure you've addressed, you've thought about. Now there's this thing called the standard deduction, and they go ahead and they put it right on the tax form. That is something new with the new tax laws that came in a few years ago. It's right on the form. It does change a little bit every year, but because we're saying Jane Doe is single, she's allowed to deduct $12,200 from her income. So that changes depending on if you're head of household, if you're married, things like that. And then it tells you, do I have other business deductions? No, I don't have any of those. So I add lines 9 and 10. Well, 12,200 added to nothing is still 12,200. And it says, for taxable income, subtract line 11A from line 8B. So I've subtracted line 11A from line 8B, and I get $36,300. That's the big number. That's what we need. So this is our taxable income, and that gets us to the end of page 1. So what happens on page 2 is where I need to go take this number from line 11B to the tax tables. So to show you what that looks like, I'm going to take my iPad over here and kind of show you some screens on the computer, because I think it's important that you see how this works. So you go on your computer and you go search, okay, what are the tax tables for that year? And what comes up is the big set of directions. And hopefully you saw this in the sample video, but This is a huge long booklet, and it goes on and on and on for every possible taxable income up to $100,000. And it shows you what your tax is. Why are there 4 columns? Because there's 4 different filing statuses. Again, the sample, it says, if you fortunately are earning over 100,000, you get to use the tax computation worksheet. So yay, you get to go do different things. But I focused in on the part of the table that was important for this Jane Doe example, and it's this. We just came up with the number 36.3, and you have to take a look at the wording here. This is why we're, kind of detail-oriented in math. You have to read at least but less than. So if I look, there are 2 places where 36.3 is in the tax table. At least but less than. Well, 36.3, if that's her taxable income, you don't use the 41.59, you use the 41.65 because she's earning at least 36.3. So that's what the tax table looks like. Now I'm going to go back to my form. There's my workspace if you're curious. Go Scots. So down here, I'm on my tax form. Make sure I balance my filming iPad there so it doesn't fall on me. And I'm going to write down that number that I found from the tax table. Where did I put my pen? Here it is. So that number, 41.65, I looked for the single column, and I found out with 36.3 in taxable income. This was the number from line 11B that helped me go to the tax table and get this number. So I'm going to take this number, rewrite it over here. I don't have any of these other Schedule 2s. No, it doesn't pertain to me. Interesting, as you do work for yourself, a lot of you guys said you wanted to be entrepreneurs. I'm going to say that she's not self-employed, but that's something a little bit different. So I don't have any of these extra things coming down. So nothing going on there. They tell me to add the lines. Not very exciting here. Line 15, I'm going to say she's not self-employed. Basically, because this is simple, I'm just rewriting this number. But again, this is an important number. In row 16, where it says total tax, this is what Jane owes. This is a really important one right here in line 16. Now, go back to the W-2. How do I know that? Because it says go to your W-2. And how much tax has she had already taken out? So already over the course of the year, her employer from her paychecks has taken out $68.35. So I'm going to take that $68.35 and I'm going to put it in line 17. So I don't have a lot of weird stuff. I don't have children, not paying for child care. So these are a lot of things as you become a parent and you have dependents that would be important to you. So I don't have any other payments. I take these values and I add them up. So $68.35 is what Jane has paid so far. So up till this point of the year, she's paid $68.35. She owes $41.65. So drum roll. Will she get a refund or will she owe more? It's one or the other in this location. And this is where you read. If line 19 is more than line 16, well, that's us. Line 19 is more than line 16. You get a refund. Yay! So you just take the difference there. It tells you what to do. Subtract line 16 from line 19. So I take $68.35. I subtract $41.65. And she's going to get a nice refund check of $2,670. Yay! So don't put smiley faces on your taxes. This is my scratch sheet here. A couple things to look at again. You could have this automatically put into a certain account. You tell them checking your savings. You could have it applied to next year's taxes. So many reasons you might want to do one thing or the other. Fun fact, don't use a pencil here. A lot of mail crime happens this time of year where people will redirect your refund into their bank account. So please use a pen, or better yet, type it and file electronically. Go ahead and sign that you are Jane Doe. I always try to make sure that I had done this before tax day, which is the 15th, and maybe I want to call myself a CEO, although if she's only making that much money, she's probably not the CEO, and the big company is probably not doing that well. So this is the big thing here. Looking at the comparison between lines 16 and 19. If she had only paid maybe $3,000 over the course of the year, she would owe more. So you don't fill out both of these. You either get a refund or you owe more. It's one or the other based off lines 19 and line 16. So that is Jane Doe's taxes. I always suggest doing a paper copy, and then you can go back onto the computer. And I think it's important to remember that the tax form that's there for you online, I'm going to come back to it online, is one that you can type into. So when you come to Jane Doe's work here, you just start typing these things in here. So like I clicked single, Jane Doe. I could come over here and start putting in her social security number, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Got to get it in there. But anyway, it is all set up for you to do online. So good luck and submit either a PDF or a handwritten. I don't care. Bye.